Hello, everybody. My name is Ira Bowman, and I'm excited to have you join me here in the comment section of Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. Going live for the first time. I'm really starting a brand new show. It's going to be called Behind the Screen with Ira Bowman. In full disclosure, I actually have four screens. So when you see me looking to the right or the left or up or whatever, that is what's going on. I'm not trying to be aloof. It's just I have multiple screens. But I'm starting a brand new show for a reason. I want to, I'm in this digital marketing space. I create a lot of graphics. I do a lot of photography work. I make videos. I write blogs. I do all these kinds of things. It's to me a lot of fun. Oh, it's Pi Day. I forgot about that. Thanks for reminding me. Happy Pi Day to you too. Um, so I've been kicking around this idea, and this is my buddy Brad, by the way. All right. So I've been kicking around this idea. Tell me where you guys are from, by the way. I know Brad's here in the Inland Empire with me. Where are you from? Well, I explain the purpose of the show. So the reason for the show, I've done a lot of different shows, right? I've done I to the Third, which is industry interviews by Ira, which I'm still interested in doing that from time to time. I've done Marketing Mondays. For whatever reason, it just seemed like that was kind of like had run its course. I might bring it back, but what really interests me right now is all these projects, these digital graphic projects, whether it be shooting photography or then taking the photography and making these final um, pieces with it. Hello from Oregon Sue. So I thought, you know what? Maybe my audience would like to see some behind the scenes. Like, how do I go from concept to finished work? Or even like, well, okay, once it's done, where do you post it? How do you use it? So I thought, let me do something different here. And I haven't even created the graphics for the show yet or the fancy theme music, but of course I will do all that in the coming week or two. But I was doing this show with my friend Mike. We were calling it Speed Networking with Mike and Ira, and we decided to cancel that show because it really didn't do what we were hoping it would do. What we were looking for was a way to increase the visibility of our guests and get them to talk in detail about what they do to try to drive business for them. But it wasn't giving us what we were hoping for. So the ROI for Mike and I was not great. So we've ended that show. So this is the show that I'm thinking about making my flagship show. So I'm going to be sharing things like what I'm working on in Photoshop. In fact, let me just pull this up real quick and let's do a little bit of it. I might have to move things around because I'm not usually on this particular screen when I share it, but hang on a second. So there's going to be a lot of behind the scenes. That's the whole point of this show. This show is behind the scenes or behind the screen of Ira Bowman. So what are you doing? Like I took this picture. I'm just going to start from scratch and show you. So like when I open up one of the photos that I take, open, hang on, March. So I got these newer lights. And what I did first, like, here, I'll just show you kind of silly. So, like, I did this right now. I took the photo and I edited it in Lightroom. Okay, so this is not like this is not a it's not masked up. That's just the photo, and it added my logo over the top. But if I wanted to make this into a PNG so that this was actually clear, I do this work all the time. Now, to be fair, the new version of Photoshop has made this really, really easy. Let me just walk through and show you how this works. If I want to take this black screen and remove this so it's now transparent. Okay, and we got a couple new people. Hello, June. June is in New Mexico. And we got Tina. Tina is in Arizona. And I love these people dearly. They're very good friends of mine. Okay, but if I want to take this background and I want to remove it in Photoshop, it has become really easy. So I'm going to show you the easy way to do it, and then I'll do it the old-fashioned way so I can show you both. All right. So what I would do is I want to come here into select, and I'm going to select the subject. Now you do have to make sure that the layer is on. So in this case, layer 0. We hit subject. This is going to do a really good job, as you'll see in a second, of actually selecting the subject. I am super impressed with the AI uh, enhancement improvement over the magic wand. But see how it's selected that? Now it's not perfect, but it's okay. It's pretty close. Like it's going to cut this part of the dress off. So then all you have to do is come over here. This is your mask layer. So if you guys can see down in my bottom right hand corner, you click that and that's automatically going to clip it and trim it. Everything is out. It's masked. Now this part that's missing, I can come and fill in and I'll show you how to do it. Okay. So what you want to do is make sure you pick your, it's kind of hidden here because of the way the screen is set up. Hang on a second. I've got to, I've got to change this setup so I can get down to it. Just put this stuff down. I got a million things open. If you want to know what goes behind my screen, that really does. Oh, this is not good because I need to get to the bottom. How do I move? I'm just trying to figure this out. How I need to get down here. Okay, hang on a second. Bear with me. This is one of these things that I'm going to have to figure out a little bit because I typically don't. I don't use the side screen for Photoshop. So I have a 40-inch monitor. If you guys are ever curious about my monitors, maybe I'll take a picture and I'll show you how it's set up. But I have 4 monitors. Okay. So let me share my screen again, but I just have to change. I just have to change the screen that I'm sharing. Hang on a second. Okay, so now it's screen 3. Okay. All right, so now you can see my screen again. This is how I actually do it anyways. Okay, so if I want to take this thing and I want to add back in the part that it chopped off. Okay, so now I want to go down and pick my pen and I need to pick white. If I do black, that actually would erase it, but I want to add it. So white, and I've got to make sure that my masking layer is selected, which it is. Then I just want to come in here with my pen or with my brush, and I might have to change the size. It's pretty small, so I could fix that size and then just start, and that's going to fill in. Okay, now see that black right there? I don't want that, but that's okay. I'll erase it. Okay, I just want to make sure that all of that dress is there. Okay, so I'll come back in. This is manual, and see how that's dark right there? You might want that out. You might want that in, and it looks like I lost a little bit right here. Okay, so now what I would do, this is the old-fashioned way. Okay, I'm going to zoom in, and if I don't want all this hair there, I can just flip to black. Okay, this is again, it's on. It's not. This is not destructive because I'm doing it on a mask. Right? So if I change my mind, I can always add it back. I'll show you that in a second. But this is the old-fashioned way, right? I will come in, and what we do, believe it or not, in my business, we get into the pixel level. That's these individual boxes. So we actually will get in this tight. Okay. So we'll come in and we'll go, okay, I don't want any of this. It's going to be gone. Now this is a little bit small for this right here. So I'm probably going to just blow this up because there's no reason for me to go quite so small here. I'll come back to those in a second. We're going to do those at the pixel level. But first we want to, and you get pretty good at doing this. This is just freehand me with my hand, but you don't want any of the red to disappear. Okay. This is the difference between the $5, when you get a PNG made for you by somebody like on Fiverr and you pay $5 or $10 or $25, they're not doing this. Okay. This is manual labor. So this is going to be more expensive, but this is a much better complete way to do it. So, and here I got a little crazy. So carried away, whatever you want to say. So now I'm just going to come back here and refill that in. Again, I'm going to come back one more time. This is just the rough pass. So the rough pass, we're getting the bulk. And then it is kind of therapeutic, by the way. I don't know if you guys are making comments about that. Oh, here we go. She's just telling us where from. Yeah. Oh, Texas. I thought it was New Mexico. Got that confused. Sorry about that. All right. So what I'm doing is I'm just removing, and if we back this up so you can see it, I'm just removing the black that I had added back in to complete the mask. So you may be like, Ira, why are you doing this at all? What I'm doing is I'm removing the black background and then I can use this image for whatever I want. Now I will come in and clean the rest of that up, but I'm going to show you why we do it. So now that we have this layer clear, what I would do with it is I would hit save and save as, and then I would save this as a copy, and I'm going to save it as a PNG file. Okay. PNG file, clear background. Okay. So now what do we do with that? Here's what we do with it. We can take this and we can either we can insert something behind it right now, which I will do just to give you an example. Let me go to my stock photos. Okay. And now she's at the beach. Honestly, now I can do anything I want and I can move her too, by the way. So you're like, oh, you know what? She's in the wrong spot. Or I want to make her smaller. See what I mean? So that's that's realistically how I could do it. Now let's say we're making an advertisement and I want to use this red. Okay, so I'm going to do the color picker. Unless I know which red I'm going to do. And by the way, it brings this up over here. And so I go, okay, that's the red I want. And now I can pick my text. I needed to pick a new layer. I should have picked a new layer. It's going to try to write it over the whole thing. Hang on a second. We're just waiting. This is spoken by somebody who isn't in the graphic world. Yeah, we don't use pencils and tablets in Photoshop, bro. But we use mouse and we use tracking mice. So, hang on a second. When we really want to be serious about our work, then we use this. Hang on a second. We use this thing, right? We use tracking balls. No pen, no mouse, no tablet. You got somebody who's designing on a tablet, they're not doing it for real. Hey, Brent. Nice to meet you, brother. Are you back from Venezuela or are you still in Venezuela? Not sure where you are. Okay, so, oops, hang on a second. I just hit remove screen. Share screen. There we go. Okay, so I hit the wrong thing there. I need to hit add a layer. And now I can do my, okay. So when you're doing it, now it defaults to white, but now this is where I'm going to hit my color again and go to the box. I already selected the white or the red. And then now I can just hit Control A and I could say, never trust an image see online. Because somebody like me has probably created it, right? All right, and we can change the font size and we can go as big as we want. So there's a couple ways that you can do this. If you want to have it be just one line, which is a lot of times what I will do, just depends on what you're trying to do. You can actually do it like this, right? You can set this box so your text box that size, and then I can actually just select it and drag it. And as long as I have my ratio lock on, which I do, it'll change the width and the height together. When you see these pink lines, what that is that's just uh, it's trying to give you center, right? I have snap guides on, so it tries to center up anyways. If I want to get around that, I just have to zoom in. And if you hold your space bar down, by the way, it turns into a hand, and then you can drag. Sometimes people don't know that, but so now I can do it right to my eye. And if you want guides, all you have to do is click on the ruler and drag down. So like, let's say I wanted to set this up so it's sitting out the 1 inch. So now I can do that. And let's say I want to make sure it is in the middle and I don't want to trust the ruler. I can come here and let's see, I have 8.5, so I need 4.25. So right there is the center. So these are guides. They're not actually on the image themselves. If I was to save it, print it, anything like that, these lines, these guidelines are not really there. Okay. It's just for visual representation. And as soon as you want to get rid of them, all you have to do is come up here into view and clear guides and they disappear. Okay. So, anyways, there's a quick little tutorial. Now, if we didn't have the magic wand, if we wanted to start this from scratch, okay, all we would need to do, we could do it that way, but we're just going to open one. So we're going to go back to our files. We're going to go into, we'll just do a different one. Doesn't really matter. Same type, right? Now this one, by the way, I do want to talk about this as well. Where's the other one? Okay. So I do this a lot. On this one, same shot, same type of shot, same setup. See how the face is in focus? And on this one, I focused on the finger. So now, full disclosure, on my camera, I use camera settings. I do almost everything manual, except for I use autofocus. And the reason why I do that is because on my cameras, I have, well, I have two that I use primarily, but here's the one on my desk. I use this a lot. This is my EOS 90D. Okay, the EOS 90D. One of the reasons why I bought this is it has smart multi-point focus built into the camera, and I can choose the array settings that I want, even in fully auto. So, like, my wife was like, "Really, professional photographers use autofocus?" And I'm like, "Yeah, most of us do." And here's why: because it's really, really smart, and it'll allow me to focus on multiple points. It's a multiple point autofocus. So, anyways, maybe I can figure out a way to share the screen on here someday, and I can do a lesson on that, which is pretty interesting. But the reason it's funny, the reason why I did this particular shoot, not to get off topic, but I gotten a new lens in. This is it. This is a 24 by 70. It's a 2.8 f-stop. It's a low USM from Canon. So what's funny is this lens is more than this camera. Crazy but true. But the reason why I was doing this particular photo shoot is I got this, but I also got in new lights. These are hard lights from Newer. Newer is Neewer. So it's, I think, Newer. But anyways, I don't know how to say it. But anyways, there you go. So, my daughter got this particular dress. Oh, I'm not even showing you the picture at the moment. Sorry about that. Okay. So my daughter had got this dress for a dance coming up for school. And so I said, "Hey, go get your dress on. We'll do a shoot." But the reason why I'm showing you this is because when you're doing a photo shoot, you're doing an array, sometimes it's nice to just switch, not the setup, but switch the focal point. And so in this particular case, obviously you can see her face nice and clearly. And in this particular case, you can see her hand, especially after I pointed out. Maybe people don't understand. But one of the differences in using a prime lens and using a telescopic lens, like this one that I have here, okay? When you're using a telescopic lens, one of the differences between this and one of my prime lenses, which, hang on just a second, I'm going to grab it. I'm going to grab my bag. So, like in my bag, okay? On my, hang on, I'm just going to switch to this view. And I'm going to scoot you guys over so I can see you. Okay. So, this is my 5D Mark IV. Okay, this is my more expensive camera. So on this one, I have loaded at any given time a prime lens. This is my 85, but in my bag, I also keep with me my my 24, and then I have my nifty 50. Okay, so I use these all the time. What's the difference between these prime lenses and my telescopic lenses? Well, the main difference, obviously, the telescopic lens is I can change the focal point without moving my feet. And sometimes you're in a room and you can't move. You just are where you are. So like I love my 70 by Guatemala. He was in Guatemala, not Venezuela. I don't know why it's so hard for me to remember these things, but he is back. Good. Okay. I'm glad you're back. But it was neat to see all the pictures. Anyways, so why do I use this one instead of this one? Well, one of the main differences, like I just said, is I can change the focal point without moving, which is nice. But one of the drawbacks of that, there is a cost. Like for every advantage, there's also a cost. So, you kind of have to pick what you're mostly interested in doing. But let me share this again. So when I'm doing a shot like this with a prime lens, I could more easily get the face and the hand together in one shot in focus because the distance that's in focus is longer when I'm doing a telescopic lens than the focal distance, it's more narrow. And so even though it's just the distance between the point of her finger to her arm, which is probably 2 feet 30 inches, something like that, just 2.5 feet, we've lost the focus on the hand, as you can see. So anyways, if you're ever looking at these photos and going, why is it blurry? It's because they're at different depths. That's the main reason. And it's likely that they were using a telescopic lens. Now, it just happens to be right now, they call this a bokeh style, which is not actually bokeh, which is kind of funny. I think it's mislabeled, honestly. But, this out of focus style is kind of in vogue. One of the pictures that I put up on my Instagram, I'm actually going to find it and I'll show you. Um, bear with me as I look over here on my Instagram. But one of the photos I put up on my Instagram for my trip back in Indiana. Well, actually, I'm going to share this one too while we're at it. Okay, so let me pull this over so you can see it. So this right here, for example, okay, this is here in Southern California, but this is in focus and out of focus. Why is it so? Because I was using a telescopic lens. Now, this one is so vast that it would have had this effect anyways. But this kind of work, I do this kind of work all the time. I had on the camera at the time, I had my 35 to 150 lens. That's what I shot this with. It was my 35 to 150. Okay. But hang on a second. I'm going to find another one of my photos. But it's a ways back because it was last year. So I got to get all the way to. I post every day on Instagram, by the way. So if you're looking for something interesting to look at, not that I'm saying follow me on Instagram, but this is a picture that I did, and I just want to show you the difference. Okay. See how this one, it is still blurry, but it's not as obvious. This actually is a setup of what not to do. I was showing just like what a generic shot that you would expect to see from an amateur. Basically, this is kind of what you would expect to see. And then this is the pro shot. And really, it's the same settings. Everything's the same. The only thing that I did was the perspective or the angle. The angle changed about 18 inches. Photography work is a lot about angles and lighting. If you can get the right angles and you can get the lighting down, you can take amazing photographs. It's not as much about the gear as people think. You don't have to spend tens of thousands of dollars on gear if you don't want to. I mean, certainly you can. I have, but it isn't the gear itself that makes you good or that keeps you from getting professional results. A lot of times it's about knowing how to frame it. Like I said, the angles and the lighting. And so that's why I took this particular set. Up to this point, I didn't have any hard lights, and I invested in two, and it wasn't really that expensive. It was just a few $100s. Now that was just for the lights, didn't come with stands, but I already had the stands. So now I can get much more depth. And you go, Ira, what's the difference between hard lighting and soft lighting? Well, let me show you just right here this is why I'm doing this. See how this is so bright and this is so dark? Again, this is really dark and this is really bright. It's created with hard light. When you have soft boxes, you get less you you get more of a gradient in the shadow so that it's not as solid. Um, Sorry, I just lost my train of thought. Okay, so you have a very distinguished. Now, here, what I was going for was a Rembrandt type of a look. So if you can kind of tell the shadows come down this way, I was trying to get a 45-degree slice, again, angles, and getting that nose. Now, in that particular shot, I didn't have her set up quite as well. Here I did, but then I edited that a little bit with Photoshop. I brought the shadows up, but I'm going to show you one for that. Lighting is so crucial. Okay. So here's where you get the Rembrandt effect for real. Okay. So the nose, see the shadow here? It comes down, in that little Rembrandt. That's that shadow effect. That's what we call the Rembrandt. So that's what I was going for. So what did I have to accomplish this shot? I had a hairline shot up over the top of her head, which was just to make sure that I got the back here. I wanted to make sure that that was lit, and you can kind of see it also on the arms. Again, that's subtle, but that's what it was there for. And then I have my key light. My key light was up about 6 feet, 6.5 feet in the air, and then angled down. Okay. And the reason why I wanted that is because I wanted that shadow to come down, but I didn't want it to be so high that it came over like to the cheek. You see what I mean? So that's where, again, light and angles. But if I was going to create a profile shot for this, happens to be my daughter, this is the shot I would use. In fact, when I named it, that's actually what I named it. Hang on a second, I'll show you. So I named all of these shots, and here it is. Okay, this is what I named it. This is the final piece. It's called, Lily's profile shot. Red dress profile. That's what I called it. All right. So this was what I was going for from the very beginning. This is the look that I wanted to hit. All right. So if there's any questions about this, I mean, this is all photography work. Now, another set of images that I took this past week was the flowers. So the flowers from the college. If you guys are curious, I can show you the raws. But here's another type of work that I do. This particular work was done. Um, I just realized I was muted. I don't know how long I was muted. Hopefully not too long. Sorry about that. Let me know if I'm still on mute, but I think I'm good. Anyways, and now I don't know I don't know how long I was on mute. Oh my gosh. My mic had a problem. Is anybody out there? Could you let me know if you can hear me or not? I might have lost everybody. This might be too technical. Um, all right. Well, let me just start from scratch. Okay. So how did I get this picture to look the way it looks? What I did was I started with a base photo right here. Okay. Then I copied the layer twice so I could just do it again. So you just hit that and duplicate your layer. Okay. And you can call it whatever you want. Okay. So if I take these away, hang on a second. I'm just going to delete these. I'm just going to do it all from scratch. Okay. So delete those. Now I want to take this layer. I'm going to turn that one off. I'm going to take this layer and I'm going to add a negative 100 saturation. Okay. Now that makes this one black and white. Now I'm going to turn that off for a second and I'm just going to have this one. Okay. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to create a mask layer. I'm just going to come down here to mask. And now I've got a mask. Okay. So now what I can do, if I want to do it the old fashioned way, I could take this black, take this pen, and all I need to do is just start erasing. Okay. This is not destructive because it's on the transparency, or it's on the mask layer. Okay. So if I make a mistake, it's not gone. I don't have to start over. But this is the old fashioned way. We would do this all the time. And this is why, like, it would be really hard to do people with a lot of hair. So when you're bald or you have smooth surfaces, this is how we used to do it. Okay. And we would come in, we would change the size of our pen down to the micro level. This is what I was doing with Lily in the dress, if you guys have been watching for a while. Okay. We would do something like this and we would just get it, closer and closer until we were happy with it. Now, there's a new way, which is really neat. And I could have done that. I'm going to do it now. Select subject. Okay. And subject, it's going to come and it's going to pick this flower. Okay. And then all I would have had to do is just hit this mask. Okay. And then it would have been there. But you can't have two masks. So, anyways, let me just delete it. I just got to delete the layer. Okay. Now I want to turn this. I'm going to turn that off. Okay. So I just turn that off. All right. So I'm going to take this hue. I'm going to put it there. Now on this layer, I got to turn it on. And I'm going to hit select subject. And now it's going to pick this flower for me. Okay. So I could have done that. Now, once that's there, all I need to do here now is hit the mask and it automatically clips that out. Now, if you can see, it didn't do a perfect job, but it did pretty good. Okay. Most people would probably not even care that it missed this spot. And it wasn't the only spot. But see, like right here, it's green. So I can fix it anywhere that it's missed. And this is actually more egregious right here. But I can fix it. All I have to do is click on the layer mask, black or white. In this case, black, because I want to cover that up. Change my brush to a size that's small enough. And then come in here and I can clean it out. Okay. So you can use select object to get, the bulk of it. And then you can come in and manually clean the rest. And this is why it's nice to know how to do both methods, because the AI is much, much improved, but it's still not perfect. Okay. So I can come down here. Usually if you're looking for trouble, you want to look where, the things come together, because that's typically what it struggles with, is the edges. So right here, it missed. And again, I don't even know if you guys can tell with your eyes on this or not. My eyes are pretty picky, but this is how I'm going to clean it out. All right. So that's nice and clean. Okay. And then the only other thing that I did to it was I dropped my logo in over the top because I'm an artist and I want people to know who did the work. Okay. So I shot the picture and that was it. That was it. I think I changed the size. I think I did crop it using thirds, rule of thirds. I go back and forth on this in Lightroom. I'll open up my Lightroom and I'll show you. I go back and forth on Lightroom between golden ratio and rule of thirds when I'm doing my cropping. So if you're not familiar with what that is, I'll show you. I'll show you real quick. So in Photoshop, it's simply rule of thirds. But when you do this, okay, you really want to hit with the rule of thirds one of these four spots. So right there, right there, right there, or right there, where the grids come together. That is, oh, I just realized I wasn't sharing this big screen. Sorry. So maybe these lessons were too small. But in any of these four spots, that's where you want the main object to be. So I use this spot and this spot primarily. I don't typically use the bottoms. I typically use the tops, but either are perfectly acceptable in the rule of thirds. And then, hang on a second. I don't know why it's taking so long for this to pop up. It's loading, but it might be because I'm running a video that it's running more of my resources here. Okay, so like here's one of the shots that I took when I was just doing a light test here. Okay, but if I was going to clean this out and I was going to crop it, which I've done, now this is the golden ratio. Okay, I can tell because of the size difference. It's 2.5 instead of thirds, basically. But see, I've got it set up on the eye, and also the way I originally framed the shot, if you look at this is the actual full photo that I took, okay? And I always want to shoot when I'm shooting, one of my strategies. I always like to shoot extra in the frame. I shoot full frame, but I like to give myself extra just so that I know I have room to edit if I want to. You can't add it later, but you can always cut it. So, but what I didn't want to do, and when I go to rule of thirds, this will make a little bit of sense. What I didn't want to do, okay, so I could have done this, which would have been totally fine. The problem that I had though is there's a little bit of something going on with my wall there. And I could have taken this in, I could have just done this, okay? So I need to change the size of that. Hang on a second. So I could have just done this and fixed it. Okay. Now it's done. Like a portrait, you know. So what I did is say, hey, you know what? I'm going to leave it just a little bit so you can tell that she's in. But I didn't also like, I don't have enough room there to get all the way over. So I switched to golden ratio, right? And that allows me to push over and pull up. And then the other way to cheat is move the bottom. And so this is how I ended up finishing the photo. Okay. So I almost always pick the top two spots, right or left, although I probably tend to go on the right the most. That's just my particular style. If you see these photos down at the bottom, you'll see that that's true. Okay. And then one of the things, my daughter has a lot of freckles. Okay. And nobody wants to see the hair on the lips and stuff like that. So one of the things that I do almost always is I come in and I do texture removal. So I'll come in and typically for my daughter, I just know this off the top of my head, I do 40. So I come in and now the hair is much less defined, the freckles are much less there. And so all the photos that you see in Photoshop have been edited use high res cameras. But all of these have been edited down. Well, this one not because she was not. She was already out of focus anyways. But like this one, for example, this is texture removal 40. So this is like the equivalent of your Snapchat filters. Y'all are familiar with that. That's really what that is. So um, okay. Let's see. So I've been on for a little bit. Let me see. Do you guys have any questions for me before I pop off? So I'm not sure if this show is interesting to people, if this is something that you would be interested in learning more about my world. We haven't done any graphic design stuff in here. We have just done um, Photoshop and Lightroom, but I think it was a pretty good first episode as far as the lessons. If you guys are interested in learning more about this, let me know because I have no idea. This is all interesting to me. This might be really boring to you. Um, so let me know if this is something that you're interested in watching on a regular basis. I'd be happy to develop this thing out more. And if not, it's totally fine. I can just do this on my own. But I thought it's behind the screen. This is the kind of stuff that I really do. So how do I set up animations? How do I, get the blog covers and graphics for infographics, and how do we turn a file into GIFs and things like that? I mean, all kinds of things that I can teach you. Um, if you're interested. If this is interesting, let me know. If not, like I said, no big deal. I know that it's fun for me, but it's been 40 minutes and I feel like the energy is zapped. So I don't know if that's me or you. It could have been the mute thing. I have no idea how long I was on mute, which really sucks. But thank you, Brent, for letting me know that I was muted and that I'm back off of mute. I appreciate that. Again, my name is Ira Bowman. If you need any graphics or anything like that, of course, I am a graphic designer. We do photography work. I'm excited. I'm actually going to be in Canada this weekend doing a commercial shoot up in Vancouver, Canada. So if you're up in Vancouver and you want to get together this weekend, let me know. I'll be there Friday and Saturday night. I'll be shooting during the day. If you need a photography session or you're interested in hiring us for photography work, you can book me on my website, bowmandigitalmedia.com. The photography information is on the photography page. And I do have a passport and I have been vaccinated, so I can travel anywhere. I don't have any restrictions on me for that. So as long as your country is open and you want me to come visit you in your country and do photography work for you, get a hold of me and we can talk about the details. Thanks for watching and have a great day, everybody.